All right, guys, let me turn this off. There we go. This is Red Ben. It is Thursday night, August 3rd, 2023. Um, and if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, it's Red Ben Trader. If you want to learn more about the algo I'm using, it's based on the Trade and Perform algo, which was developed by my coach Simon. You can get a hold of him via email, trade, letter N, wordperform at gmail.com. Hey, what's up, Bryce? Good to see you. You can, I don't know if there's any available space in the room right now, but you can at least get a 5 day free pass, see what we're doing. This uh, video is honestly primarily for myself because I often have ideas and then I forget what like which ones worked and how I made it work. And so by doing a live stream of kind of what's working or like ideas that might work and then going back and testing those ideas on different days and stuff like that can be really helpful for me to like actually process like why it works. And the truth is, even if you're just using Simon's algo that he offers is in the room to everybody in the room, which looks like this. There's only a few signals. There's a lot to do with this. Just so be aware that like the things I've added are not necessarily required. I wouldn't have to add any more signals. You have enough just from what Simon offers. But I've always enjoyed like the creative process of taking ideas from things that I've used as a footprint trader because before I found the room, I used the footprint and the time and sales and the DOM to make all my trading decisions, and the algo is basically just looking at the DOM and the same things and alerting us when certain conditions are there. So some of my colors are different, and then there's just a lot of extra stuff. So try not to be too overwhelmed. I'm not going to go into explaining every single color and line and signal. It would take hours to do that. And like I said, to be completely frank, it's way too busy right now because I'm trying to gather some data on two new ideas that I'd like to turn into a new trade signal. But the only way to really do that optimally is to put, in my experience, is to put the raw data on the chart and then to look for patterns where it's like, oh, I see when this happens before that other thing and then some other thing happens after that. That seems to be the optimal place to get in. So let's look back and see if we can repeat that over and over again. And eventually, when you figure out the pattern, you can take off the raw data and just leave the signal, which is what Simon has done here. So like, yeah, that's just to be clear. Like, I'm not at all trying to replace anything that he's doing. I'm just trying to explore what else might work and how can I even like further optimize it, particularly for myself, because I have a really hard time waiting for trades, and I like to be more active. And I've really been working hard on trying to figure out like what I should be looking for to filter out all of the not necessary trades where they might work, but like doing things all day, taking like 60 trades in a day or something, you're just it's too much. Like it's not necessary. So I am really working hard on trying to find some things that I can look for that are repeatable, that can tell me that the opportunity is better in this situation than it was in like the previous rotation or whatever. So that's kind of where this comes from. I am currently testing this idea on just NASDAQ NQ. It's possible it works for ES or CL, but I don't know. I just haven't tried it. I'm finding that it works best on the 15 tick, not Simon's trading, but this new idea that I'm going to share today works best on the 15 tick, but it does work on the 24 as long as there is range. So if you have enough movement in the market, the 24 tick will work just fine. I've also got the 40 tick hiding back here, kind of watching to see if maybe some of the ideas might translate over there, but I'd never be able to take a trade from that size because the stop would be too big, because you have to put your stop under at least one bar, and that's just too much risk for me. But I do use it to interpret direction and like momentum strength and things like that. So I'm kind of always watching to see what's going on over here. And if I can find something that does work on the 40 tick, then I can just wait till that signals on the 40 tick and then possibly look for trades on the smaller time frame. At least that's the idea. So, like I said, this works better on basically on a tick chart that gets a lot of movement, which is right now with the summer trading the 15 tick. I imagine it probably also works on the 8 tick. I haven't tried that, but I wouldn't be shocked if it does. The new signals that I'm gonna kind of go into a little bit more in depth, that I've only done like one video on them, and I continue to like tweak how they signal, is there's pink boxes here and purple boxes there. And so those have to do with this delta. I'm not going to go into, like I said, exactly what the code is, but it's basically interpreting some of the information about how much, how many of the contracts that were traded in that bar were done as we move up in price, and how many of them are done as we move down in price. So it's generally, you can think of it as like a strength indicator. And the pink ones here, they are associated with the bar that's just to the left of it. So when this bar closes, this pink box is confirmed, and it won't disappear once that's closed. But if we see it in a live bar, it's really not yet confirmed until it closes. So but the hard thing to remember is that just to see, is that the signal will be to the right of the bar. For the inverse signal, it's purple, and that one would be related to this bear bar. If you're not used to Renko, all of the down bars have wicks on the top, and all the bull bars have wicks on the bottom. It's an easy way to see, because I know the colors are changing. So if you can always look at the like this, whether or not it's inverted or not, to see if it's an up bar or a down bar. So the bearish signal, that's the inverse of the pink, is the purple. That'll show up on a bearish chart. Again, it's basically the same. It's just looking at the delta. And so those two are the first things I added. And then there's three actually. So the second one is the blue boxes or squares, and the yellow squares. I've used the yellow squares before, but this is a totally different signal. I got rid of the old ones, and I came up with a new idea, and there's just only so many shapes, so it's a square again. And so these are primarily going to show up on pink and purple bars, and they're usually going to be positioned either at the bottom of the channel or the top of the channel. We shouldn't see a ton of them in the middle, hopefully, is what I'm trying to weed out. They're related to delta, but it also needs some additional criteria, and it's not as strict as the purple and pink. So they're related, but how I'm using them is quite a bit different, because they will only show up on bars that are not only positioned correctly, but also have like it's also looking at like relative volume. Let's just say that. So they have to have like we'll just say smaller volume. So anything with a box on the inside of the bar, you can just assume that it's a small volume bar. Um, and but there's more to it than just that, but you won't see them show up on a high volume bar. The pink and the purple boxes don't have a whole lot to do with volume, so it's you could see them both show up on the same bar. I guess that's what I'm getting at. You don't Yeah, it's not like they're mutually exclusive, but and they are looking at different things, but they're somewhat related. How they work together is somewhat related. Then I've also added the green little dash here that produces an extension line. I wish it could go until the volume point of control bar or line crosses it, because that's really what's relevant. But Sierra chart only lets you stop it when it runs into a bar. So it'll stop here, but it's technically valid until you get this yellow line, which is the VPOC of the individual bars, above it or below it. And then the inverse of that is the orange, and that one will have an orange line as well. So those dashes or the lines or whatever, the orange and the green, those are actually related to like the reaction to an event that already occurred at this price point. And what I'm finding is they produce, first of all, great targets for like support resistance targets. And then also they can produce like vulnerability points at in certain situations where overcoming them with the volume point of control bar, or the dash, the little yellow dash that's inside of the bar that's connected by this yellow line. If that overcomes one, you can get a change. It's a sign of a change in sentiment. But on the smaller time frames, like the 15 tick, the real the confirmed like use for them that I see works very often is when you get a return to it and a defense of the levels. So for instance, if we come back here right now and test that area but can't get the VPOC below it, or we can only put a purple bar below it, and the purple bars are not as strong as the other bear bars, and the pink bars are also not as strong. It's easier to put a pink or a purple bar than it is to put any other bar, because it's a sign of illiquidity. So the price is moving primarily due to orders getting pulled from the order book. So getting a purple bar under these isn't necessarily going to be that important, primarily on the retest like this. But if we test this and then bounce there, what we're going to see is it'll confirm the momentum. So one of the patterns we're going to be looking at, that's like one of the main criteria for a trade entry, is that we need to see those levels defended. It doesn't have to be to the tick. It's just that there needs to be buyers here, basically. And then in the reverse, it would be, for instance, let me just go find one. It's easier to see it if it's already happened. So we'd be looking for a green bar that produces, this is all bullish, so we're not going to see it there. This is kind of what it looks like, where you get a green bar, you test it maybe with a wick and a pink bar, and then you get a reversal. That is the first one of the steps of confirming bearish momentum. But you can see when that busts, you get big rips. So let me find another one where they actually confirm. This is a good example of the bullish one. So put the orange in, extend it. You can't get VPOC under it on a bear bar. It gets under it, but it's on a bull bar, and they extend. And then here you can't get above the green. See that? So it defends. This is a perfect example of how I'm using these primarily is just like that. So it's not always going to be that tight. You can also extend them from far away. For instance, this may produce some sellers lining up at those levels and then getting over them and defending the area will often produce a little bounce. See how they can't get underneath there with anything but purple bars and wicks. And it's not always the first bounce, but once you've confirmed that there's buyers down there, there are opportunities. So the hard part is, like I said, I wish I could get these to extend until the VPOC crosses them, because for instance here, this runs into it, but the VPOC got nowhere near it. So this is actually extremely bullish. And if it continues to respond in that area, the bull momentum is like still present. But once you get a bar, especially a bar that's not purple or pink, to get the VPOC beyond it, it will it's not necessarily a reversal, but it's suggesting that that area is probably no longer, like, if it was bullish here and we see this, you're going to have to trap a seller usually to continue higher, is usually how it works. So see how at first we try to get over it. Remember, it's the same line here. So they got under it. They try to get over it. They can only get a pink bar. And then they actually built another one a little lower. They reject. And again, that's not always a sell, but it suggests it's bearish. But then we get this triangle down with a diamond, which means there's a lot of volume here. And then it's also divergent. Sorry about the jet. They're running tonight, apparently. And when we trap him, it produces the opportunity for a lift, which is what we're working through right now. And then, like I said, this one, both of these really could be used as like bounce points on the pullback if there's evidence that there's still that it's still a bullish chart, which I'm going to explain how we do that. But it's important to understand what when I say defending a level, I'm not saying it won't get past it at all. I'm saying that they're not able to put any volume behind it. So, for instance, this level here, this was not defended because we got the VPOC on a non-pink bar above it, and then this is called a reclaim. This is what I call a reclaim. So they did not defend the level. The sellers did not defend, and then they reclaimed it. And so the only way that you get big drops when that happens if there is a aggressive or large volume trader here that traps trapped. At any other time, more or less, obviously it's not 100%, but generally, if this is taken and not defended, and there's no big volume here to trap and not any aggression, the market will immediately continue higher. And then what's fascinating is, at least to me, is that if I mark that level off here, the one that was not defended initially, and then they trapped him and brought him down, it will then act as resistance later, which is kind of cool and useful. So on the very small tick chart, you could technically scalp that, but what like I said, what I really want to do is trade less. So it would work, it appears, but I wanted to use that tendency to either, like, being able to see that once we've developed that line and defended it, knowing that if it's bullish, most of the time you're going to lift to the next level is useful. So like even here, they came down and they absolutely defended it, but they had another one that acted as resistance because of these trap traders here, right? But now those guys have more or less been cleared out. And so I would expect that this move, if they do lift it, could actually go higher. But if you look over here, the same thing happened here. And this is why they didn't defend this one, by the way, is they had another one that started way over here. And it's still there, which means we've never actually tested the level. Um, and what really matters is you can't get VPOC over it. Once that happens, it changes character. So here, pink bar wouldn't have mattered, but we got a real bar, real bull bar above it, right? So they did not, the sellers did not defend initially, but they reclaimed it, right? And normally, the the result of reclaiming this, if there's no trap traders, you're just going to get a lift at the next support because it, since they got over it with a real bar, usually it's just a rest. But then they came back up to that level, and they had these aggressive buyers. They defended the level this time, and then they trapped them. So you could, it's easier to see in retrospect than it is when it develops. But where I'm interested in this is not so much in like big chop fests. Like, you don't want to use it. I mean, you could draw these and say, okay, if this was tested, right, but defended because it's only a pink bar. So sellers are in the market, is what that says. And then if they trapped someone, that's going to be resistance, no question, right? Because they didn't even beat it, right? The sellers defended it and then they got trapped. So that's even more bearish than getting it and then trapping a buyer. But in this case, they put in another one, and then that one was defended over and over again. And so it's not bullish, is all you need to know for now. Just understand that when we see these not getting broken on lifts, it's not bullish. Did I say bearish? It's not bullish if that happens. Sorry, I think I mixed those up. So, like, again, here, defended, right? So this green, we could not get over it with a VPOC on a bull bar, right? So that's bearish at that moment. It looks like sellers are still in the market. I know that the only way, generally, that we're going to get over this is by trapping an aggressive seller, or putting in another one and then getting over that. So here they came back to this one because it was bearish here. They were going to go to support. It doesn't have to be this close, right? It just was. And so they went back and tested this apex, right? And that's normal. But then we got an apex trap, which is a setup that we look for in the trade and perform room. Well, having that orange line there and watching what happened to the right and seeing that the bear bar could not get the VPOC below it, and when we did get a VPOC below it, it closed bullish. That's going to make this trade way better because they defended it here, right? So everybody was bearish at this point. And they came down to here, and buyers said, no, 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 this is support. We're buying this. And so this guy is in big trouble, right? And so is this. And so that's going to go to the next one, most likely, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And that's what usually happens. So, like, and that's the same thing here, just tighter, right? You have a green and an orange. Well, I guess in this case, they defended it here, so it would have been bearish unless we trap someone. And in this case, it's this guy is trapped. And like I said, when they don't work, the reversal is really big. And so that can be a trade setup in and of itself. So where this is really useful, like I said, is when you have range. So here, it looks bullish. Let me start back here. It looks bullish. Here, I'll even show you the low. So with just this signal, again, we're going to add some other things to make it a little more clear of what we're looking for, but I think it's really important to see how this works. So it's bearish, right? They put an orange line here. They try to test it, and they can't break it. So for the moment, that level is defended. They went down there. They could not get a VPOC below it. It's usually bullish, but where it's going to go is going to be dependent on what happened in the past. So look, this one was defended, right? Right here. It got a pink bar and a bear bar, but no bull bar over it. And so what you would expect is if it's bearish, this is going to go lower. Well, when it doesn't, it's bullish, right? So this becomes a really strong continuation trade as long as you did this down here where you test and bounce. But there was another one over here, all that from somewhere far away, right? They are still valid. So these become your target. This one, by the way, would have been your target number one. If you got in at the turn here on this, if you got in here, which makes sense, or even the bar after it, after seeing this bounce, your target is here. Okay, so that's not very good risk reward. But like I said, when they defend it and then the other side defends theirs, this one is usually not going to hold. So they pull back, they bounce. That's actually the really good entry because now we have this. Better RR because I can put my stop here and my entry maybe here. And then your target's up there, right? And then we get to target one and we get a pink bar over it. So at the moment, we don't really know what's going to happen. And then the next bar gets us to target two almost perfectly. See that? And then it reverses. And that is a defense of these levels. We did not get a bull VPOC above either of these. So those levels got defended. Usually you go back and test the one below it, or you test if it's so to add complexity here, if you've had pink bars, pink boxes, these guys, these must be defended in the same way for a trend to continue. Otherwise, if they're not, they need to print a new one or they need to retake that level, which I'll demonstrate here. So see the pink here? They lost it. That's an important level to hold for the bullish momentum here as they lift it up. This level is very important to hold. When you lose it, when they actually trade under it with a bear bar, or they trap someone up here especially, and once they get the VPOC underneath it on a non-purple bar especially, this is trapped. And the only way you're going to get a bull reversal is if you come back and get above that. Wow, they're really flying tonight. Okay, sorry. So in other words, we should expect that without printing another pink bar, sellers are going to defend this. And we see that they put another green one here, right? Which was defended. So that makes sense. So we come down and we're looking for pink boxes. We get purple ones, but those Bryce, those are divergence. Delta divergence is all that in. Yeah, so Yeah, those are divergences, and they're not a trade signal by themselves, but when they when the divergences show up at the peaks, and then you take them like this, it can produce like resistance. So I don't trade on them. I won't take this, but if I see that we've lifted and we've got an orange up there, and then they do this, and I get triangle down underneath the orange, that's a pretty strong trade. And interestingly, it doesn't really matter if it's orange or blue. What matters is where we are. So here at the bottom of the channel, a very simple scalping technique is basically thinking about it like if this is defended, it's bullish, and if it's beat, it's bearish. So I can take a triangle down, or sorry, this is the bottom, right? Bottom of the channel. So I'm looking for a triangle up above it. So that would be, whoever sold down here, because this had negative delta. So whoever sold down there is stuck. And then if they're in the middle, it's not as useful. But in this case, you could probably take that. But where I like them is like this. So divergent delta at the low. Lots of people were aggressive down here selling. And that makes sense because they were probably getting stopped out from like, I guess buying here. So once I get over him, now if it's a pink bar, you're usually going to need, on the triangle, you're usually going to need a pullback. But this would be an okay entry, right? But what I would prefer is actually buying on the pullback here. Otherwise, you want to just identify that this is support now. So any setup that comes over here is going to work more because this is support. And it's not going to always work. Here, this is another one. So it's at the low, right? I don't care that it's orange. I'm waiting for the market to get over him with a triangle like this. And I expect that this will be support. If it would have been pink, I would like to get long on the pullback. Here's another one. Like you can just scalp these back and forth. So this one had a really long wick, but if we ignore that one and just do this one, I would short that. Now, oftentimes the purple bars will give some kind of a pullback, the purple triangles, but they don't always get back into the range. So that the aggressive way is just to take it. So here's where they get tricky. You can't just buy, right? Just because you're at the bottom of the channel does not mean you buy it. You have to get over it. And for me, I've got to I've got to have a reason to get in also, like an actual setup, a pattern that I know already. It's just confirming the location. So this one, as you go lower, it's not going to be very effective. But then we put in a blue one down here, and that one's going to be useful because of the location. And then once this lifts, like I said, it's bullish. So now it's just a question of, do I have a setup here? Well, like I said, the pink bars will sometimes pull back, but not always. So I'd prefer to get long down here on the pink, but you don't always get that chance. Sometimes you just have to be aggressive. But yeah, you can't make a trade decision, in my opinion, until you get beyond it. But this one would be here, and see how it's purple, and then I would get short there. It's kind of cool. It makes the chart a little messy because I guess I could probably program it to only show up if it's touching the edges. I hadn't thought of that. I could fix that. That's actually a good idea. Thanks, Bryce. Yeah, because when they're in the middle, it's actually not that useful. I guess it's not the channel though. It's like it's wherever the market is. I just want to see an edge get produced there. It gives me more confidence that that's the edge. So I was saying the boxes. So if you lose a box, again, these boxes are indicating that there's a big difference in delta. Relatively suddenly. And that, remember, this pink box is this bar. So this one also has big volume, but then big delta. So the the easy way to do this is if it happens at the top of the channel, regardless of what color it is, just like the divergence, you just sell the triangle down. That's the easy way, right? That's the obvious way. And then here, purples, I know they're at the top of the bar, but it's just this bar, and then this is this bar. So a triangle above that, this one had the VPOC below it, so it pulls back. And then even this could potentially give you a scalp. That's the easy way. Oh yeah, easy to do, Bryce. I agree. So if the boxes are lined up in the right spot, the middle one, this is the midpoint, which I use all the time. Simon has his midpoint hidden. When we are neutral, you can ignore it. But when he doesn't do a lot of momentum trading, so I can understand why he doesn't want it. But let's say you're trading this. I know this is like earnings and it all happened in 1 second, so you couldn't physically do it, but this is always how up moves work, right? Where they just rip through the channel like this. So when that happens, and it's like frustrating if you miss this, the easiest way to catch this is actually to watch that midpoint and to see if you get a reaction to it on the first pushback. So see how that got defended? You wouldn't be sure until here. But now our risk reward here is not very good. So there might not be an opportunity here, but oftentimes there will be on the test. Even this is okay, of like you're turning before the midpoint. And then the important thing is after that midpoint turn, right? I know it didn't touch it, but like it approached the midpoint. You need to leave the channel with a non-pink bar. If you can't get out of the channel, or you can only get out of the channel with a pink bar, like this, look, pull back. This one too, pull back, pink bar, and then the next bar is bearish. Oftentimes, you're going to see an apex trap here where they actually pull back and stop everybody out who put their stop here and then rip. And then, not always, but it's way more dangerous if you only put a pink. So this pink bar was also above the channel, but this one was not, right? The VPOC was not. I always look at the VPOC. That's it. The close doesn't matter. It's just Renko. It's just a distance. The VPOC is where most of the volume was, so that's what matters. So here, I would expect a pullback back to the midpoint, but you need to get back into the channel for that to happen. So here, it's so bullish that even though they put a pink here above the channel, they then ride this channel as long as they can. See how they're not even getting VPOCs back in there? So that's just like, no, there are no sellers here, is what that means. But if you get back into it after that, here, let me find a more natural one. If you leave the channel with only a pink bar VPOC like this, and then the very next bar is bearish, and specifically you get back into the channel, that move is going to get retraced, and it's very common to see an apex trap. So find the apex here. If I had to guess, this one was really far away. It might not go this far, but generally you're going to come all the way back there. If not, on my charts, I also have the dots, and those kind of work like apexes. It like anticipates the apex, if you will, because it shows volume divergence. So it's not the same as an apex, but it's like a cheater's apex. So sometimes you'll get a test under one of these and then a rip, but oftentimes it'll be the actual apex. So if it's not this one, I bet it's this one. Let's see. Nope. They don't even get there. Let me find another one so I'm just not making shit up here. So that one actually did get a white bar over it. So I would not expect an apex trap if it's bullish. I guess if it's neutral, it doesn't apply. But if I need a bullish or bearish situation. So here, bearish, right? This one gets VPOC below the channel. And then you get a VPOC back into the channel. My assumption here is basically that momentum is probably slowing. And I want to start looking for that midpoint to get tested or an apex trap. So this one, the midpoint holds. And then there's the apex trap. It's not always the very next, but that would be your apex trap that is produced from that. See how it, this, right? So you test out of it, comes back in, it does go one more time, but then the apex trap shows up after that test reject, basically because this was defended. Let me find another one. It's not always the second one or the first one, but here's another one. So regular bullish bar gets out, right? I would not expect a big pullback here most of the time. You get back to the midpoint. Like that's normal in a bullish trend. It's still bullish. And then you lift out with a pink bar and this one did not get a VPOC back. See, this one did not have a VPOC under the channel. And then this one did, but it closed bullish. That is ultra bullish. It's going to squeeze because they expected a big pullback and didn't get it. So it squeezes. Now the apex trap can happen. So this May trap doesn't set up. Does this one trap? This is usually where they start to show right there. That would be your long. Does that make sense? It's just a way to gauge the trend. It's only when it's trending. So here's another one. So lifting off, regular white bar outside of the channel, bullish. I expect the midpoint to get defended. It does. They get back into the channel just a little bit. They can't even get past the midpoint. It's still bullish. We get a pink bar out and then a real bar out. It's still bullish. Chances are this is not getting tested. I can put my stop down there very comfortably most of the time. If they put a new apex in and then I get a pink bar up there, I want to look for apex traps. Now, sometimes you'll get them, but oftentimes these apexes will not be tested because we've gotten bull bars out there that aren't pink. And usually the midpoint will be defended until that point. So, okay, so this time they didn't get any bars on this lift. See how they made a new high, but no bull bars got any VPOCs above the blue line. So if the next bar is bearish and the VPOC's in the channel, now we can look for apex traps. It's the same thing as only getting a pink. So there, bearish in here. Now apex traps are like possible. Right there. That is your bull entry. See that? Now this one, pink and white. Are we going to come back here? Probably not. Pink, nothing else. See how they, at the moment, pink. If this was bearish, I would expect this apex to get tested eventually. And now we need an VPOC back inside the channel on a bear bar. Otherwise, it's going to squeeze. Back up. This might squeeze because it never got a bearish VPOC back in the channel. Ta-da! Cool, right? It's not 100%, but it's a really easy way to sort of see, like, do I have a lot of momentum or just a little momentum? Now, once you've gotten that squeeze, right, where they stay outside the channel and they can't get back in, they can't get back into it on pullbacks, like, expect the trend you have to start watching for divergence is really what it is. So now divergence on this one. So I am not bullish at this point, and I won't take the apex traps because it's going to probably chop for a while. So I need to trap a seller. It might go higher, but I'm not going to do it. See that? Because this move went higher on lower volume, and it was after a big squeeze. Like capitulation is right here. That's capitulation. And so now it's probably more bearish than bullish. Now, after they go sideways, it doesn't have to reverse, right? It just has to rest. Divergence does not mean the trend is over. It just means it needs to rest. So where am I looking for longs? Bottom of the channel. This or anywhere here. I'm no longer momentum trading. I'm not taking that, right? Or a triangle here or anything like that. I would need to get to the bottom of the channel, and I'd prefer to have a trap triangle or star to get me long. And apex traps will only work after that. That's the one you want. There you go. It takes practice to see it, but especially if you just do one direction, you start to see these things. Like, you don't even, I've gotten to the point where I can explain them, but I think if you look at it long enough, even if you don't know what you're looking at, you're just going to be like, oh, that's way too extended. And what you're probably seeing is the slope or the how many traders have gotten to so extended. Because yeah. Okay, so like I said, the pink and the purple boxes are a sign that delta has changed. If you get one way at the top, like above the channel, or way at the bottom, especially after a big move, it's not necessarily a reversal, but the potential for a reversal is high. So this pink box here is basically saying that the buyers, it was all buyers. Which means that a lot of those were probably stops getting hit. And so if sellers are getting stopped out by aggressively buying, there may not be a lot of fuel left, and we might need to pull back a bit before we buy. This is kind of obvious here, right? But realize that this one was also outside of the channel, and so is this. And you can't just sell them because of their location. But if you get one up there that then gets challenged and especially beat, like you get under it with a VPOC that's not purple, that is truly beat, it's gonna pull back almost all the time. You can get in before that. It's not wrong. It's just more aggressive, especially if you have a location in mind. It makes sense. But oftentimes, if they get beat by purple bars like this, you will probably get a chance to sell on that green line anyway. Right there. See that test? And like I said, these green and orange lines are going to be pretty good at identifying support and resistance. And when they get blown through, there is momentum in the market. And if you were waiting for a trade there and it just went boom, you're trading the wrong direction, which is kind of cool. So, and then note they make another one and they couldn't get a bull bar above that, right? Or certainly not a VPOC, but not even just a wick above both of these. So those will continue to be relevant if we go back up there. They were fully defended. And what I was saying before is the pink boxes, it's interesting because to build momentum, generally you need them, or you need to trap the opposite side. And like I said, the inverse is purple. So for instance, for the bears to really get a chance to reverse and not just like do a little pullback and rip, they really do need a change in delta. It can't be just, you're not going to get a sell off if you don't have aggressive sellers. But the funny thing is, you also really can't get a turn or a big reversal without first having aggressive buyers. So you need to kind of see both. For the best trades, you actually want to see both. A real simple way to choose direction is you can ask, am I above or below the boxes? So here, these were the pink boxes. And so if you get under them with VPOC on a non-purple bar, it means that chances are on the pullback, they're probably gonna act as resistance. The purple bar, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But a regular bar with a VPOC underneath them, you're pretty sure that they're going to act as resistance on the way back up. So this bar that's not purple, getting a VPOC below this pink box, because remember, that's this bar to the left, means that this is probably resistance on the next try. They may break it eventually, but they're probably going to need to trap somebody like with an apex trap or put like a star or a triangle down at the low, probably going back to the bottom of the channel at least. But you're not going to be able to get any more than that unless you also get under purple bars. And those purple bars, yeah, because if there's purple bars under you and you're trying to sell, they're going to act as support. In the same way that when you get underneath pink bars, you wouldn't really want to be a buyer here because you're going to trade right into them, right? So that's not a great place to buy if you beat if you're a buyer and you got under a pink bar, you really can't be bullish unless you can target that, or if you get a new pink bar down here, in which case you could probably target it. Otherwise, I have to wait until we get above him and preferably test it as support, because that's usually what's going to happen. So in this case, we are under both pink and purple bars now with a bear bar, with a bear bar that is not purple. So this one confirms that you're all the way underneath. So I don't want to take an apex trap because to the long side, because my target would be here and my entry would be like here, and I don't want to do that. So even without the lines, just knowing I'm under these boxes causes problems for buyers. The interesting thing is the sellers have an incentive to get under these, all of them, because it can then trap the big delta. What's really happening is you're actually releasing the ones who got stopped out there, but let's not go into that. You're actually there because there were people who sold here, and that's why the delta was so big. They sold and had to cover here. So this price point getting reacquired by sellers means whoever stopped out here is now like wishing they didn't stop out. And the result of that, everyone's been in that situation where like you get stopped out, the market comes back to your stop and goes through it, and now you're like, oh no, I was wrong. I was too quick to exit. I need to get back into that trade. So getting under them, or behind them, I should say, because it's also over purple ones, it tends to be where the market tries to go, because the market moves by getting people trapped and by getting people acting emotionally. So whatever gets you to act emotionally, that's what the market's trying to do generally. So we can mark these as spots to watch, because if it's still bullish, the buyers must defend them. If they don't, something's changed. And we already think something's changed from, now keep in mind, like from like a 0 to 10 10 being ultra bullish and 1 being ultra bearish. It might have been bullish here, or 10 or 9. Well, right here, you're already down to like 5. But if you get under this, it's going to go like sub 5. So the buyers also have an incentive to hold these levels. So the best trades will often show up right there or right there. It's just that you have to keep in mind what your risk reward is, because the trapped squares are going to be your target, which you may or may not get over depending on how many trap traders, how convincing this down move looked. So for instance, here, the location is right for a lift, but my risk reward is poor. And it looks like it's not going to work anyway. Or maybe it will. So this is really this is the first place I could look for a trade. Let's put it that way. So if I get a setup here, I could consider getting long. But my risk reward's poor, so I'm usually not going to take it. But especially when you have them lined up like this makes a ton of sense for buyers to show up here. What I would love is an apex trap on that. Will you get it? I don't know, but that's what I would like. But the important thing is to remember that this is not an area to get long. And if you do get long down here, your target is there. So you can buy that, but you better be out in 10 points, because it's probably not just going to go straight through it, since these guys got traded behind. So nice, we get another pullback. Now I'm watching for new pink boxes, meaning a big change in delta. In addition, purple boxes would suggest a bearish flip, and if we can get over them, well, then we've trapped them and we can go back to these boxes. So either side, as long as the location is right, could give me an opportunity. The entry is not going to be on the box more than likely. It's going to be after I get over it, because printing a box just basically means big change in delta. That doesn't mean shit until you trap whoever was on the opposite side of that trade. So this one actually was a divergent bar, which also already has me interested because of where it is. And it's got a purple box. So there were a ton of sellers here. Why would that be? Because they put their stop here, didn't know that this was resistance, and got stopped out. And so this apex trade looks awesome. The location's perfect. I've got at least 1-to-1 to my very first target. And I've gotten a ton of delta down there. So it should work. But if I want to be sure, I should wait for a triangle. The one thing that could really get in my way here is these green and orange lines. See, this one got traded under, and the green one just appeared. So if we don't get VPOC above that on a non-pink bar, it's bearish for the moment. So if I want to be conservative, I should wait to see if the triangle is not pink. If it's not pink, it's probably fine. But I do have more potential resistances up here. You always will somewhere. But the important thing is just to recognize that if the market turns after rejecting one of these, I should probably just get out of it. So the bar is not pink, which is a good sign, but we have not yet gotten over this. So if I get in here, which I probably would, I would immediately exit if the next bar is pink and we trade under it. Okay, the next bar is bullish and we get the VPOC above that green line, which is a great sign for my long. See how this VPOC is just slightly above it? Now, on the 24 tick at this same exact time at 05, I'm about to print a triangle, which I am totally happy buying. Seeing that the location's right, I have an apex trap on the 15 tick, and I've gotten over this potential resistance, because the fact that they're not defending this means that there definitely were sellers down there. So, no. I don't know if this works. We'll see. Okay, so we get a pink bar up there. That one's got one of these little boxes on there. Um, oh, nice. Oh, cool. So this one's got the blue box, which basically tells me, first of all, it's positioned in a location that's vulnerable, for a pullback. If I want to just exit, if I'm anywhere near my target, I can just get out. Because if we get under this guy, with a non-purple bar, it's almost certainly done for the time being. Just saying how. Yes. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So right, the aggressive way to do it is actually to get in here, and then if this doesn't show up, I'm out here for a very small loss. But my location was good, so you could get in here, and when this does show up, you could actually add, because again, your stop is it's right here. So if you want to get half in here, for instance, and then wait for the triangle, and then on the pullback add the other half, that's great. But yeah, once I see this blue, if it's really bullish, I just want to buy pullbacks. But a pullback is likely coming. Let's put it that way. We just don't know how deep it's going to be. So if you're trading like apex evaluations and you see one of these on the 24 tick, it like this, it might be time to take some profit, but it could just be a little wick. So the more aggressive way to do it, the more aggressive way to do it, I didn't know that was going to happen. That's funny. The more aggressive way to do it is to not exit until you get under it. But once you have gotten under it with VPOC, you basically need a sign of aggression again to get back in, like a triangle. So for the moment, I see that there's a green line here, right? And I'm right at it with one of these vulnerable bars. It makes a lot of sense to just exit. And remember, that was my target initially anyway, because of that. The boxes that got beat, we've returned to their range. There's really no reason to think that you're just going to rip right through those, because there were buyers up there that got stopped out. So they might, if they didn't get stopped out, they got off sides. If they didn't get stopped out, they would probably exit at break even. Plus, something I haven't got into quite yet is, because I know that tendency for these lines is that if it's bullish, it gets defended, right? I mentioned that. It means that I could actually get out here and often watch for a bounce here and at least get back at the same point, which is actually what I did today a couple times, and it's really a relaxing way to trade, because you get out completely here, and then you just say, hey, I know if this holds, I can get long again on the next sign of aggression. So I'm just gonna see what happens down there. And so they do beat it with a star, and they try to lift again right into that area. If it was really bullish, you could buy this right back where you sold it, but I'm not going to do that with my resistance here. If I didn't have that resistance, this is the kind of spot where you could just get right back in again, because they did not go through this orange, but they still could, right? Nothing's 100%. And when you're into resistance, the likelihood is that they're going to actually test a support. So either this or this is more likely to get actually tested. But if we weren't neutral, see how the channels are neutral? I have no reason to think that this is just going to break out to high a day. So but if I did think that was happening, this is actually just fine to buy. Or you wait for it to print and then buy the pullback. But I wouldn't do that if it's not super bullish, or if I don't have a target that's a lot higher than this. But it might go higher. Sideways, sideways, sideways. Now, have we gotten a VPOC under this that's bearish? Not yet. Only a purple one. So we get triangle down on a purple bar, but it gives us this green, which is like, that might end up being resistance. So now I need to be above this green with VPOC to even think about getting long. Otherwise, that's my target, more or less. Because it came in while I was waiting for a pullback. That's generally the more conservative way to think about it. So now we've gotten underneath this orange one with a bear bar. And now I know that this is not most likely just going to rip back up, but they did it with a box, which means some change in delta. So it might be vulnerable, right? If you would have sold this, it wouldn't be wrong to exit on any sign of aggression to the upside, because we've seen that where these are taken and then immediately reclaimed, it can be a crazy squeeze. It shouldn't happen, but it could. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna go ahead and get out of there, even though oh wait, the VPOC has not gotten up. The VPOC's down there. So they can still reject it. It's VPOC getting up above this that would reclaim it. So that's actually nothing yet. If the next bar is bearish, it's bearish. There we go. Okay, so VPOC did get above the orange line, but on a bear bar, right? This is actually super bearish. They had an opportunity, they had a vulnerability, right, at location. If it's bullish, they will get a triangle here most of the time. They didn't even test this resistance, and they couldn't get the VPOC above this important line after breaking below it with a non-purple bar. This is a momentum trade, but it's valid. And if you want to wait to the triangle, that's cool. I would never, in this situation, buy that apex trap if we get it. If this produces now, like, I wouldn't know here, but now if we get a bull bar, I am not buying, because I've got all sorts of evidence that this resistance is holding, and this, what I thought could have been support, is holding as resistance. It's not bullish. And if you look to the left, the purple box right here is now above us. So assuming that we trade under this, the bears actually have reclaimed that spot where they got stopped out. So the potential is there for momentum to increase to the downside. And there's another one. So we get another purple on a vulnerable bar, right? If we look to the left for pink boxes, this was the next pink box. And if you look very closely, we have not actually gotten a VPOC on a bear bar that's not purple below it. So they could now reverse it. That's what's weird, is here I'm thinking it's definitely bearish. But when they have the pink bar over here and they don't increase momentum to the downside with this opportunity, like, this is still a momentum short. There's nothing wrong with it at this point. But when they can only put a purple bar with this vulnerable, basically the only reason this even printed was because everybody got stopped out. It was low volume and super negative delta. If it keeps going, cool. But if it reverses now, they do not have the advantage. And it makes sense that buyers would want to defend this. So now, because of that last box, because look, the next box is here. So if this long opportunity doesn't work, we're probably headed down there. That's pretty hard to do in a straight line. So it kind of makes sense for them to try to defend it anyway. Oh, did I go too far? No. Yes. No. Shoot. Where'd it go? I didn't go far enough. Okay, so when we get yellow dot under the channel, purple box, or yellow box, purple box, right? It's not bullish yet, but if they give this up and we get VPOC above it, I need a triangle actually above this. It could scream higher. I'm probably not going to buy this, even though I could, but it's really aggressive seeing that I just saw buyers give up. But if they put a triangle above this, even if it's pink, I would take that. And we do get the triangle. And we even got a pink box. So here it was all market selling. And then all the sellers got bullish, right? Now, if you think about the Trade and Perform catalog, one of Simon's favorite trades is wait for the market to get pushed underneath the channel on a day that is bullish, right? Into location, and then print purple bar followed by triangle up with a plus sign. Oh, well, that's what I have here, right? So it's not adding anything except for the fact that it makes sense now. Like, oh, no wonder this is the one that gets trapped, because they looked really bearish. They put in a vulnerability and they actually let it go. And we've now reclaimed that pink bar over there, that pink box over there, with a triangle up and a plus sign. So I wouldn't be surprised if this screams higher right away, but my first target is here. So let's see what happens. It might not work. Doesn't always work. But it makes sense to buy it. I think it's going to fail. There's an apex trap here. Otherwise, it's really bearish. But I'm going to take this trade every time, even if it doesn't work sometimes. The setup is valid. It makes sense. And we had decent risk reward. So if it doesn't work, it's just bearish. So now we get under the pink one, another vulnerability. Okay, so but we got another green one. So it's probably bearish, but the very last chance to be bullish would be an apex trap on that. If that doesn't happen, it's bearish. And if it does happen, I'd have to wait for the triangle to get above this. It looks like it's not going to happen. So it's just that bearish. Okay, let's see. They can technically apex trap still. Nope. Another vulnerability. So, yeah, okay. I was like, it looks pretty bearish. Any other time, if it's not super bearish, that's the best bull entry. That's all I can say. Doesn't mean it's always going to work. Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing. Like, all we can do is look for those opportunities. And if it presents itself, give it a try. But in retrospect, we now see they tried to take them with a ton of delta. And even though sellers didn't have any volume here and got a ton of delta, we kept going lower. So it looked like they could have taken it. Buyers just aren't in the market, right? So am I interested in buying an apex trap now? No. This box now is like probably right up to there, is going to be resistance. So I'm going to need to trap a seller or target that. Go low enough that we can target that. And like I said, it could turn here, and I am just going to skip it because I expect this to hold. And it might not. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. If it works, it's a great trade. If it doesn't, you know right away. And honestly, even this first bear bar, you could probably release it, because if this works, it should squeeze, right? If this was pink, I'd have to wait. But when it's not pink, it's got a plus. It's like, yeah, it's pretty hard to have any reason to be bullish there after they take it. So it might lift, but I'm not taking this like ever. Um, so let's see what happens here. I expect that they get stuck here because it's bearish. Let's see. You never know. Yeah. So it's bearish. I would rather be a seller here on the star than be a buyer here after seeing this move and what they're doing. But you can see that the buyers tried to take advantage of this vulnerability, which is what they usually do. You almost always get a retrace on these boxes, which is why they are really good places to release some contracts. And if you know it's bearish, another really good trade, once you know it's bearish, is wait for that box. And then after the retrace, if you get a triangle down, that's probably going to take you to the next leg lower. In other words, here, if this didn't have a box, because now this one is likely to actually get a retracement, but if this one didn't have a box, or if I knew it was bearish here, that would be a good momentum entry. But the location wasn't right for a continuation. But if it was, that's the kind of spot where you could like almost sell a breakdown. Here, what we have, this is interesting because this is resistance, right? They should be screaming lower. They should. But instead, they're vulnerable on the bar that should have released it, right? So these boxes showing up on triangle bars like this, those bars, the range of that bar, it is, if you get under it, it's going to be resistance. If you get over it, it's going to probably be support. So while I wouldn't have any reason to buy this, if I get over this and then we come back and get like star triangle up, I might be able to try it. Let's see. So I'm not interested in that because it just doesn't look bullish yet. It does look like the bears are running out of steam, and it looks, oh, did we not get a real bar, real VPOC under this? Oh, we did. We got a VPOC under that. Yeah, so I'm not interested in this. Yep. So now let's see if this acts as support, because then we could trap somebody and then we can get a big lift. Nope. But once again, box, pullback, triangle down gives you the release. Box, any pullback here into this level would be a good sell. That's probably just fine. Oh, interestingly, they put a big delta in here. So let's see what they do with that. Yep, so I would sell this. Now here's another triangle with the vulnerability, and we have another another purple box, and it's way below the channel, right? If we get over these, it could squeeze. It could. But I need a setup. I can't just buy it. So we wait. What I really want to see now is actually get over it and print a new orange line and then pull back into that orange line and hold it. That's the very best reversal I've found. So more big selling. So everyone's giving up, basically. All the buyers are giving up here. These guys are eligible to be trapped because huge delta way under the channel, right? So let's see. Now look, this orange, as of right now, has not gotten a VPOC under it. I know it's old. It doesn't matter. Supposedly, they seem to work even from like hours ago. So if we can't get a VPOC under that, this orange right there, we can extend that line. If that continues to hold and we get triangle up, it above this, it could actually lift. So let's see. Oh, but we have a pink. Did this get beat? This got beat. We have to get above that first. Yeah, I'm not touching this because we got a box underneath pink. So I got to get over that first, and then hopefully they'll pull back. Let's see. Yeah, otherwise this is resistance. That's the problem. So let's see if... Yeah, so that's box, pullback, triangle down. That's your momentum breakdown. Will it work? I don't know. Ooh, they trapped it. Nice. So if we get above this, or a new pink bar, or actually a trap. So if we trap this triangle. So look, even without a new pink bar, we have now trapped this triangle. We've gotten above this green line, and we've defended this and this. So potentially we've got a lot of like, it's like a powder keg. We've got a lot of reasons to think that this might be the spot for it to lift. And not surprisingly, once again, we get the trade and perform entry where you get all the way to the bottom and then triangle up with a plus sign. So again, Simon doesn't need all these signals to recognize that this is the right spot to go, but it helps me to understand just why this one is so much better than this one, you know? So now I could enter, but the reason not to is this guy's still trapped. So the one reason I don't want to take this is I do not have a new pink bar. I got no positive delta, really, nothing substantial. And I'm trading back into an area where someone got off sides. So I'd really prefer to get above that and then buy a pullback. Some people are going to be just fine buying this, and I'm going to miss some trades as a result, but I would prefer to do that. So not surprisingly, it acts as resistance. Now we have another green. That's not good for the buyers. So now this is a new resistance too. And again, Simon will say, hey, you have an opportunity to easily get 10 points there. It's a good trade. And he's right. But if I'm looking for the turn, I have a reason to skip it. Okay, so have we beaten this? Yes. So even though it's an apex trap, we got under that orange line. So that basically means I need to retake this level before I even think about being bullish. Okay, oh, we still haven't done it. Pink bar and VPOC not a buy. So again, Simon's going to buy that, and that's fine. I'm going to skip it, and I might miss it. But oftentimes, if you get underneath one of these, you need to reclaim it before you have any chance of lifting. And the very next bar might do it, and then I might get a signal on the 24 ticks. So I might just be a little late. There we go. So now we've retaken this orange line, and that is very bullish. We got under it. Everybody thought it was bearish. We got over it. And we got a pink box, which is what I needed. Now I'm long. I will trade right. This goes away because we got so much delta down here that anybody who wanted to release at break even here either already has, or there's enough build in delta that they're not going to sell more often than not. The one problem, these targets, right? So if we get to them and they reject, I might want to release early. Otherwise, this looks like the chart. Here we go. Another pink box, another orange line. As long as that holds, I can actually buy pullbacks. So if I see this and see how we got the delta above this green line. And like I said, we trapped the guy who got under this orange line. Super bullish. Because if it's bearish, this holds. When it doesn't, we get VPOC above this, you could add here. So, yeah. Would your stop still be at the stop loss in that case? Not sure. Okay, good question. So, if I got in, oops. So Simon would put it here, right? He would say put it there. And I think that's the right place for it. So I would be getting in here. Or once I see that we've gotten over this and the 24 tick prints, I'm also okay getting it. 59.50, whichever one's first. So for me, this comes first, 56.25. So my entry is here at 56.25, and my stop is like 38, let's say. Whatever. What is this low? 38.50, so it's 37.50 is my stop. But yeah, I really do want the valid entry on the 24 tick whenever I'm trading with the 15 tick. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to make sense. It's like I'm not gonna buy it, and at least I'm not gonna expect any big lift unless I have something that is at least a potential setup. It doesn't have to necessarily trigger, but I have to think that if the market goes just a little bit further, it's going to trigger something really big, if that makes sense. That's a really good question, though. But yeah, I do use the 24 tick. And once I get an orange that is defended, technically, you could go back and you could trail your stop. Because while you might test under it, you're usually not going to get a VPOC under it, which means you're usually not going to put 2 bars under it. Now, in this case, you don't get to trail your stop because 2 bars below this would be below that, right? But if you got an orange line here, well, once this prints, and I've defended this, I know I'm not interested in this trade anymore if they put a VPOC under that. That's not purple. So, or basically just 2 of them. But if the first one's purple, I should probably wait. So in this case, I could go to maybe here and trail my stop if I want. You don't have to, but chances are that's going to be safe because usually this will hold. And when it doesn't, it must be really bearish. So I think this just lives. Yeah. Okay, so that's perfect. So what we'll see, again, is these green lines don't act as resistance because someone got trapped down here, right? We got under the orange and they got trapped. So all of a sudden, they don't matter so much, but if they reclaim them, they could matter again. That's the tricky part. So here, purple, I didn't see that. Purple with the yellow, and it's at the top of the channel. It's pretty dangerous, right? They are putting a ton of delta in here, and it's pretty low volume. So for some reason, everyone gave up. So if I get over this, it could potentially squeeze, but for the moment, I'm going to assume we're doing some sort of a pullback. So I'm going to get out of most of my contracts here, and then I'll just get back in on the next setup if they pull back. If they pull back, they are probably going to go test these, or worst case, this or this. But that would have to be a purple bar. That would be really bad. Not bad, but difficult. Okay, so we do get a pullback. They put in another green one. So if we don't get over that, it's not bullish. And they do. I can get back in. We've gotten over a green, right? And I know that it's not an entry, a trading perform entry here, but it's a valid setup earlier. This, oops. Let's see. Where are all the lines there here? This one was a valid setup that has not yet stopped out, right? So as long as that's the case, I can be long. And I actually can't be short unless I can target that. So I can be long, but like I said, if I want to take some profits here and wait for that recovery, do I lose? This is what I did today. Do I lose a little bit? Yeah, but I'm a lot more confident up here. Now, the trouble with this is your target, you must get over this for continuation. So there's reason to think that you might want to wait for a pullback before you actually enter because your risk reward's horrible. But if you think this is the low and you just want to be cautious and take some off, I would usually get back in here. But if I didn't get long here, it's not a valid entry way at the high. It's only a re-entry, if that makes sense. So they do get stuck there, so this probably stops. I don't know. Oh, green's not good for me. Yep, so I'd be out. That would be the stop. I'd be out. And yeah, that sucks. But that happens. The one thing that might have kept me safe was seeing the purple is above me. And now that I think about it, you don't want to trade into that. So maybe I'm wrong about this being an entry since you are under a purple bar. Yeah, that's probably wrong. And then you get another one here. So you could actually get out there too if you made that mistake. I don't think that's good. Yeah, now I think about it, I think that's all you need because this could technically be an aggressive short and you'd put your stop up here. Interesting. I had not thought of that, but that actually worked there. Okay, so they come back to the orange. They don't get a VPOC under it. So now triangle up could target this. The risk reward kind of sucks. And I've got the green there. I didn't trap anybody. Maybe I can. Let's see what happens. So interesting. So they pull back into the level that we kind of thought they would, right? And then they print another orange and defend it. So now it's clearly bullish. The tricky part that I'm trying to work out here, because I took this, and this, and this, but I'm trying to figure out how do I write the rule that says, is there a way to avoid this, but be okay with this or this? Considering that there's purple there, could it be that you're above orange and green and then you can expect higher? You're above pink, orange, and green. Interesting. I don't know. I think it works if I remember correctly. Otherwise, you skip this and this, and you take this back, and then maybe it sets up again. So here, blue dot, be careful. They might pull back. Getting a VPOC under there is a problem. Not surprising this acts as resistance. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe the way to think about it is if you're conservative, you just don't take it. Because that is your target. That's the thing. This has to be your target. So if you want to take it, that's your target. But again, with a green line there, I don't know. Well, you trapped the orange one. So maybe that makes it. I have seen that happen before. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one. But hopefully you can see how this being at the top makes sense to get out. Or at least somewhat get out. When that holds, we're probably headed back to this one, or this one. Let's see. Yeah, bearish. Oh, do they break it? That'd be awesome. Oh, they held it. Look. This is a good entry. That's cool. So, orange, if you look very closely, it's underneath. They could not get VPOC. They defended this. And then they got over this one and printed a new one. That should be a pretty awesome trap. Now that we've trapped someone, I don't care about this, or this, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, unfortunately, we put a pink one up here. The box is, again, great when you're building momentum at the lows, but very dangerous for buyers to be putting them up here. Pink or purple, doesn't really matter. Being under them is a problem. So if you print one, you better continue higher. And when you don't, you want out. And then this is a classic sell. You've got a box, a green or an orange. You're under both of them, and they've defended it. Right? Now, it'd be better if we could go a little bit and then come back up and reverse. And it would also be better if I had a big buyer up here. But this should be good enough. Let's see if I get it. So do I get a reversal here? That'd be perfect. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you can actually sell this. Because they came back up and the green acted as resistance, at least for the moment. Oh, but they put in an orange here. Does that matter? Nope. They go right through it. Yeah, I'm not surprised because the box is up here. Yeah. And so once that happens and you've gotten under it, it's over. Yeah. And so now, do they take this one? They do. Now it's pretty bearish. They're going to need to trap a buyer. They've also taken this one, so this one's also a resistance. Any pullback into here can be sold. Yeah. And I'm not touching anything to the long side until that changes. This is vulnerable. Probably a great place to take some profits. Keeps going. That's another resistance. Eek. Box. Be careful. Right? If they keep going, it's really bearish. Yeah. It's super bearish. So now, that has to be your target if you're a long, or you have to get over it to get long. So pullbacks into there, I can sell. I don't kind of doubt I get them. Oh, that's probably okay. Maybe inside is better. Uh-oh. Didn't see this. Pink, right? Orange, defended orange. He is trapped. My guess is this is going to rip. I imagine this is still resistance, but let's see. Yeah, barely. So hopefully that makes sense. It was really bearish when they put in these and this and this, and they didn't react to it, right? So I'd expect that that's resistance. And then the buyers showed up with huge delta, which again isn't bullish, but, well, it is, but only if they respond to it. The sellers try to push down. We get an orange and a big volume lift. In the very next bar, they try to take it back and defend it. Right? So now I assume we're going to head up here or here. Because those never got tested on the way back down. That's where they go. And there's another orange, so if that gets defended, it can keep going. Pull back, defend. No, no defense. No, blue box, bear. That's sell. If you were still long, just get out. But if they defend this, it can bounce but not usually after they get under it. Now it's usually resistance. Where are we headed? Probably back here, if I had to guess. Box. Get over that and it can rip. Oh, orange. Defend that and go a lot higher. There we go. Triangle up. No. Box. There we go. Triangle up. That's it. So, seller got trapped. Orange line gets defended. Pink box at the low. Triangle up. So, this one here got defended. It's probably not going to be resistance because we've trapped here. But that would be my only concern. And once I get above it and get another box, like, it's either going to die here or it's going to scream higher. So, like, on this pullback, I'm like, yeah, I'll add. Because if they put in a bear bar here, I'll just be out. Because they trapped them just like they did here. Right? When you get that box way up here, we know if they take that out that it's in big trouble. And in the same sense, when you see it down here, and they take that out, you know that they're trapped. Well, they did the same thing right here. Right? And they get over it. And then box, if it's bearish, it's going to go down. And it doesn't go down. So I would never sell this. This is an apex trap that I would never take. I would never take that. Oh, wait, am I wrong? There's another one. Interesting. This is confusing. So this one's got a pink. So if you get VPOC under that, it could reverse. But it's just going to come back here to the next one. So even if you did get out here, as soon as this holds, you can be bullish again. Oh, and then they put another one. Look at that. Look at that value. It's just like that delta is just going nuts. So it's ready. Uh-oh. Purple. Someone's trying to fight back. Yeah, that's not good. With the green, that's not good. But we have support here. So you might want to get out, but it probably sets up again. Or they just rip it down. Okay. Now, let me just see. What did the 24 tick look like here? So here we got Simon's favorite entry. Right? And that's great. That's really good. And then up here, yeah, nothing much going on there. What about here? Is that plus sign? Yeah. Yeah, plus sign. Oh, nice. I got paid. I forgot I was long. Completely forgot. Okay. So I got into a trade. I'll show it to you. It's just like this. So here we have big flow at the low and then triangle up plus sign. Yep. So again, it makes sense that it would be the same. And then here, yeah, we get a box get trapped. So that's not good. And note the blue box warned us that it's vulnerable. But this coming at the top is not what you want to see. And then the green after that, you have to beat that basically or it's bearish. But it could have held here. Once they take that, I guess they're coming for the orange ones. Look at that. Wow, even these vulnerable bars get nothing. Oh, this was earnings. I was like, what the hell's going on? Oh, but look, they do actually hold it. Look at even the algos now. They only get a purple bar under it. So it's going to rip. It's going to go all the way back up. Ah, no. I hate when that happens. Oh, I wish I could undo that. Okay. I'll do it later. I'll deal with it later. Let me put these back. Here, I'll put this here, and then I'll put Simon's on top of it so it's easier to read. Simon NQ24. Don't hit Cascade. I was looking for this and I accidentally hit the window button. Oh, that's what I... okay, and there's my 42. So at least I have those. All right. My $800 makes me feel better. But yeah, that's annoying for sure. Here, check it out. I can hide my account, I think. Yeah. Woo. Still up to. So this should rip all the way back up. See, because they defended the orange, and then they got a box below, and they got above it. And I bet on the 24 tick, it's set up. I don't have the arrows. Triangle up. I should make those a lot smaller. Those are hard to see. I mean, hard to see anything else because they're so big. Okay, so yeah, rip. All the way through the greens because someone's trapped. Blue box right here. Ooh, they get over it for a second. It doesn't last. And then, oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, if you don't get under it, I guess, like I said, it can become support too. Let's see, see the turn. Pink, get under it. Green, defended. You know for sure right there that it's bearish. Box, and they don't break it, it's bearish. Let's see. This is all earnings. I could care less about that. Let me show you the setup I took. So what I saw earlier was, first of all, there's an apex trap down here, but I didn't take it because I had orange. Actually, I could have. Orange couldn't get VPOC under orange on a bear bar and then lifted. I could have taken it right there. I didn't process that correctly. I saw this and knew if we could break that and hold it, and I wanted to get above this, but actually we had someone trapped, which I didn't notice. Because once you've gotten those, like if you've gotten a big volume or triangle down or star or whatever, you can rip through resistances pretty easily. But this purple bar could otherwise act as resistance, but once you trap someone, it usually won't. But then they got over the box, which was, if you look, it was at the bottom of the channel. So I knew here, a box at the bottom of the channel could end up being a reversal. Just like a box at the top of the channel could be, that one prints here. So this is resistance, right? Well, the box at the bottom of the channel is usually going to be support if you can get over it. Oh, hi, cat. But they go lower. So it's resistance for a moment. That one's vulnerable to be like trapped, gotten underneath. And they do with big volume, but the biggest volume was actually way up here above this pink bar, which, like I said, can act as resistance if you get under it, but they don't. They can't get under it. And so they rip back up and ring triangle up. I've got these rings are my own signal that has to do with like how fast the rotations are moving. And when they show up at apex traps like this, they get triangle up. You have to wait for the triangle really, but that alone is actually really good. But in this case, it was right into resistance, so I didn't take it there. But then look, they put another orange. And so I figured as long as that gets defended, we should be bullish. And it did. So defended. We also got another box. And we're in the middle, so it doesn't matter as much. But I figured any pullback could be bought. And so I thought I missed it. And it ripped up here to this one and turned around. And then I got long in here. and thought I was pretty sure I was going to get stopped out. I had my stop because I took it on the pullback. So really, your stop belongs down here. That's where it should be, but I ended up putting it under the orange. So see, there's two orange lines that are usually going to act as support resistance. They don't always bounce right off them though. But I figured since we had two of them, I could put it under that and be okay. And just kind of left it and forgot about it. And then like 3 hours later, it rips. But you can see they defended this. They put in a pink. Getting over that makes it support. Pink, defended, support. So it should keep going. And then, now we got a box. So if that gets traded under with VPOC, it's probably going to pull back, to here. Right? So it'll kind of bounce around like that. I don't know how to determine if this will hold this time or not. Like sometimes they do. And I've also seen them not hold. So I'm sure it has something to do with like higher time frames or how much volume was trapped down here. I'm not honestly sure. But for now, I'm just going to assume that it's resistance and try to take... That's why I got hit with the... I took 2 off when it traded into that zone. But if they reject here, I'm going to have to get rid of the rest of them. So, okay, so now that I've kind of... Well, actually, let me take a quick break. Use the restroom real quick. And I'm going to come back, and now that I've kind of explained it, let me show you like how to see the pattern, right? Because what you need is you need to break it down into patterns, right? And the pattern is basically get a box on either side and then see the red or the green line either trap below or defend in the direction that you're trying to get, and then get above the box. If you're long, you want to get above the box, get above the orange line or green line, and defend it on some sort of wick or pullback, and then see them reverse back up again. That is your primary reversal. And then, like I said, all these other things are just sort of like analysis. But if you just look for box, particularly at the bottom of the channel, orange bar getting defended, it can be all in the same bar, or it can be box, orange line getting defended later. Once they lift out of there, it's going to lift most of the time to the next resistance. The challenge is the exact same thing can happen on the other side. So box, line. If they would have gotten triangle down here, I would have gotten stopped out, but they didn't. And so they trapped this guy. So this triangle down, reclaiming the green, is the first short. And then the second one would be defending the green. Here would be another short, technically. But it's at the wrong side of the channel. But that would... Sometimes they set up that way at the right side. So box. Orange is here. Right? Above it. I want to see them defend it. That right here is bullish. So anything in here is fine. You really would prefer it sets up all at the bottom like this. No box there. Oh, and then if you don't have a box, you can do trap a seller. So trap a seller. Get above orange, green. Defend it, right? And go the other way. And then there's your box right there. So for sure by here, you know. And then sometimes they happen all at once. So the green was defended. You got a box. You went lower. So that's a short. And the distance of the rotation to the left is going to, like here, with this big drop, I would expect the long that sets up eventually to be pretty good. So we need either a box or a trap. So apex trap counts. Apex trap traps all these guys. We need an orange line to get defended. Can't get a VPOC below it, right? Or tested and bounced. And then we need to go higher than that. So the entry's here, preferably above the green, just to be sure. But note, once you've gotten the trap, either an apex trap or a big seller stuck at the low, the green line, see here, it acts as resistance. But here, once you've gotten the apex trap and you've gotten the orange defended, particularly that, it lets you rip right through it. And that seems to work in both directions. So here you trap this guy, get under the orange, triangle down, gonna go lower. Right now the problem with this one is you've got all these boxes here, and that's why it's so choppy, I think. You'd prefer it after like this, like big drop, defend to the green. Oh, but then you got boxes to get over. That's a problem. So that one's not going to work. See how they get stuck? Let's see. Defend orange. Apex trap. So this one would be fine. It does get stuck here, but your stop goes here. And you're good. Ooh, that was close. So here, you broke under the line, right? So you need a new one to get defended. And you would need a trap down here, which I don't actually see. So that one, I don't think set up quite as... Oh, the trap is over here. The star. The star gets trapped. I didn't see that. Star gets trapped. It's a little late, but... Box, green, defended, short. And again, it's on the 15 tick, it's going to be like the third bar. But if you look at where the 24 tick actually closes the second bar, 15.5, 50, 150. 15.5, 50, 150. No, that can't be right. I don't have them copying here. Yeah. 30, 150. So the 15 tick, or 25 tick doesn't even close the triangle bar until here. And I know it's a short here. So, pretty cool. Okay, let me run to the restroom. I'll be right back. I want to look at some other days and see if this works in other environments. So, give me 2 minutes. Be right back. Nope, sorry, that was probably loud. All right. Let's see. Should I exit this real quick? Let's take a look. Oops. Here doesn't really help to be able to have both of these if you can't see both of them. It's so slow that it's hard to make a judgment of whether or not that's dangerous or not. Like, it's either really bullish and they're just gonna rip right through that, or that's the top. Because having either box there is potentially a problem if you trade under it, but technically they haven't even really tested the bottom of that bar, so it's hard to release it when there's no evidence that I have any resistance. But at the same time, if I'm going to pull up other charts, do I want to? I can't. Yeah, you're fine. You already ate. You're good. I don't know. I don't. This is why I don't usually trade Globex. Is like it gives you like too much time to make decisions. So I suppose I could just put the stop. I mean, for sure, it shouldn't get under there, but I'd like to say, yeah, that probably works. I mean, the thing is, on the 24 tick, it only had a pink up here, and then we got back down. Yeah, let's just get out. I'm happy. 9:10. That's a good evening for literally. That's payment for this video. Okay, take this back. All right. So, okay, you were saying, Bryce, sequence at 1644. So that's central, yeah? Right here. Okay, here, let me just make this one smaller and bigger. Eastern, so 17. I keep mine like Simon's, otherwise I get super confused when I see his on the screen and I'm like, wait, what? What time is it? So yeah, it started as an apex trap, right? And here it's always important because you don't know that the apex trap is coming. It's always a good idea to look at how it came about, right? So here, let me just pull up my 24 real quick and we'll see. Because like I said, this still works on the 24. It's just waiting for the ideal optimal entry gets you in so late that like it's not that useful. But the analysis still makes sense. It's just that you're not going to know for sure that like you're holding that level or whatever till oftentimes the third bar. So it's okay on the 15 tick and it's okay on the 24 if you're moving a lot. But if you're looking for 4 or 5 bars of movement, you can't wait for 3 bars to get your entry signal. So, and like I said, it's rare to get that confirmation bounce, because that's what I really like about this is when you get the box at the end and then you get the line and then they pull back and hold it. That's where you are confirmed that it's bearish, but then you can technically enter on that pullback. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you might miss it, right? So, but the interesting thing here is we had a weird sequence of delta coming up here where it was like growing, but like compared to what it's been before, it was like surprisingly big, which is why you get so many of these. And then this one was just like giant. So, and they had big volume too. So this guy got really screwed, right? And then beating him is basically what produces the green line, and how we beat him. And then yeah, so the sellers are incentivized to get back into here, and they do pretty easily. And then this one, we have the we get rid of the green lines because it's got the numbers, hard to read. And here, it was also near yesterday, between yesterday's point of control and a previous point of control, which is green on mine. So the location was, we should expect choppy trading in those previous points of control. So it shouldn't be that's probably why that guy had so much volume up there, is because it was returning to yesterday's point of control, which a lot of people would see that as like a sign that we're going to go all the way back to yesterday's value rate high. So it might have had more to do with location. The fact that this guy had all this volume. But what I would expect is big delta when you take that apex. Hopefully that makes sense. Because first of all, this was an apex trap. And then if you get under this apex, that's where everybody put their stop. So it's not a surprise that we get a purple box with huge delta here. And then, interestingly, it also had a yellow box, which means there's like, it, even though it had so much delta, it like, compared to the other bars, like, it really didn't, there wasn't a lot going on there. So like everybody in this bar was just like low liquidity, just releasing, right? And so usually that produces a pullback, which it does right there, and that's usually sellable if it's trending, and you get a big aggressive seller there, another box. So whoever sold there, getting their stop hit when it came, they either bought and then sold again, or more likely they shorted, right? So or they were long, they got partially stopped out, and they're like, maybe it'll go higher, and then when it didn't, they're like, oh my god, it's going to zero, right? Because the box is up here, but the selling, most of it was up here, but some of it happened down here too. So one way or another, the important thing to understand is that the ones who are emotional did their trading up there. And this bar had the bottom move like a purple bar, right? Illiquidity, because it's got a star on it, right? So it was like aggressive fight up here, and then just everybody give up. So, and then you get another purple with a triangle down, right? So that's like people are following this aggressive trader in. But this one didn't get any delta, right? So anybody who was long has already given up by the time this one gets here. So, not surprisingly, you come in to an orange line and they bounce. That's what they usually do when it's bullish in that location. And they attack these purple boxes because it's got a vulnerability, and they're located at the bottom of the channel. So if it's not super bearish, the natural place for price to go is the opposite side of the channel. But it looked bearish, right? But it was probably primarily bearish because everybody had their stop here. And it looked like there might be new sellers coming in, but they got no fault. They got people hitting the button, but not with any serious energy, right? Like it's exhausting under the stops. So it's the exact kind of spot that you would expect some sort of a reversal to happen. But the tricky part is you don't it's not as easy as just buy this, right? After you see the exhaustion, because these stops, these traders who got stopped out or who got offsides, are waiting here to sell to so that they don't lose money. So the first time back in, they aggressively sell down, right? Once again, vulnerable for reversal. They make a little bit of a lower low, tag that orange line exactly, and build a new one. That's fascinating. And pull all the way back up. But it's green, which means the volume lifted from the previous bar, and it's got a blue box on it, which means like it was actually kind of vulnerable. Like this was not an aggressive bar. This was basically similar to a pink bar in a lot of ways. So what we should expect here is a pullback, especially considering that there's like it's been bearish. If it's bearish, we should get a pullback there. Instead, it lifts with triangle up plus sign, like super aggressive, right into these guys. And they're just done. Right? Oh, and I didn't even see it had a green line too that we closed above. So this guy tried to make a resistance, and it was just broken through with ease. So they get to the other side of this. They find a couple sellers. And the one that they broke with ease, the orange and the green, those end up being support. I think. Yeah. They always make you wonder, right? And they hold. They're defended, I should say. They don't necessarily hold. You traded behind them, but they were defended. And then we had another orange. And that one's defended. And now it's definitely going higher. Pretty neat. But on the smaller time frame, it's spread out a little bit. So we still see this is where they start releasing. So this is the stops getting hit. And then a little bit of exhaustion, like nothing going on. But price dropping. The response of the market is, well, hey, if you're not going to sell, I'm not going to sell. So they lift with big volume, and it's divergent, right? So there's actually some sellers down here who got trapped. So this is usually support in a neutral market. If it's bearish, it's not. But if it's bullish, you should get a lift there, and you do get above it. So this is totally valid, except you've got this here. That box is going to create problems most of the time because they were long, then they got stopped out. And this also got broken, so that is probably resistance. Yep. And then, interestingly, this had a shit ton of volume. I mean, delta. Not volume. Delta. So everybody sold here. Oh, in the same exact spot. We saw that here too. Yeah. This one was divergent as well, and that does not continue. So if I get long here and I see a divergent bar down at the bottom of the channel and it doesn't create a lift, I'm out. Because if there were sellers at the bottom of this and they were scared, they're not going to let price come back down right away. So like if I long this or this, I don't want to be long anymore when I see the next bar print down. The hard part is this, where you get it, it looks like it's working. If this wasn't blue, right? But you got a nice place for a delta divergence, and then it lifts, it doesn't mean that your stop is safe, even though it does eventually go there. It's they're just mean about it sometimes. It's never as easy as it looks. Uh so here aggressive seller, right, yeah, with big delta. Follow through with no volume. But they beat somebody to the point where you'd expect that to be resistance. And this actually had a bunch of volume and delta. Interesting. On the smaller time frame, it looks a lot more aggressive. And then we had delta divergence way at the bottom. Get above that, and we can trap them. There we go. That's exactly what happened. Get above them. Now that, you'd think, should be safe. But like I said, not always. And they put in this, which needs to be defended if you're going to go much higher. They break over green, suggesting someone is trapped. Oh, they didn't break over it with VPOC. Not quite. They tested it. They tested into here, reverse. That one's potentially going to get a reaction. They get under your stop by like 2 points, and then the higher odds trade, the apex trap, right? Way higher odds than buying above a delta divergent bar. Way higher odds. And if you want to increase it even more, wait for the triangle, and that's going to be extremely high odds if it's at location. But that one gets through the green line. And I might have said it wrong earlier. For the green and the orange, if you get through it with a pink or a purple, it's not necessarily like done, but it also could still go. Like it's not a problem to break it with pink. It doesn't mean they're always going to drop, but we really would prefer to see them be beat by a non-pink bar. But when they get 2 of them, it's just as good as a regular one. And then the 24 tick prints enough to get a non-pink bar, so I'm not worried about it at that point. But yeah, sometimes when this first one's pink, you'll get a pullback. That's really the problem. Like this, they get over it and they get a pullback. That's not unusual. When it doesn't happen, you know someone's stuck. And then they just rip. And then it holds on the pullback. This is always interesting how that recovers. So over here they came back to that orange and green. Here it's this one. Yep, no VPOC underneath. They break above this with the pink. They get, this is what I'm used to seeing. Make a green, test it with pink, get underneath it, and then bounce. Yep. So for me, I don't really like getting long here. I get like nervous that I'm going to get my stop taken. So I will usually get long on the pullback and then put my stop here, or wait for the apex trap, and if it doesn't happen, take the triangle here. Because my entry is the same. It doesn't matter if it's this triangle or this triangle. But if it's the first triangle after a big drop and it's pink, I'll just wait for the second one. Right now on the 24 tick, it wasn't pink, so there's nothing to worry about. But let me find that pattern. You sometimes won't get a second one. It's particularly at the bottom after a drop, like this. Drop through the channel, pink bar. I'm just gonna skip it, and I'll either take the long down here and put my stop down there and risk very little, or take the second one and I don't care what color it is, because if they've defended this, it's obviously worth taking. But the problem is yeah, when that's that first attempt to lift, and they print a pink bar there, that range is like not, it's not showing a lot of confidence. See, even this, they drop, they lift. That's not going to pull back most of the time. So I'm going to take that one. But if that's pink, I'll end up waiting for the pullback and then take the second one. That one's not pink. It's got to be at the bottom of here. Big drop. No pink bar. So I'm missing this. Right? I don't usually catch that. But I will take the pullback. I'll get long here. And then here. Sometimes that means I get stopped out on this one, and then everyone else makes money. But most of the time, if this pink bar held, or the apex held, or we got an apex trap or whatever, like that was defended, usually the next triangle's fine. If there's any chance that it's an area that I think is going to be defended anyway. I mean, I wouldn't be trading it if it wasn't. But here's one that doesn't come back. So this is where I get left behind doing that. Right? And it's because of the way that they tried to lift, most likely. And then the next triangle's way up here, and I can't take it. And it doesn't really work to apex trap here either, because it's not a big enough pullback. But if we come back to that area, I can take this one. So, and then same thing on the other way. If I'm looking short here, put in a high, purple bar, probably skipping that. They come back in. If this is defended, I'll short that. And I'll even short that if I think it's bearish enough. Right? Because the bear moves, you really often have to take it on the pullback. But that way, I don't short this. Right? And then I might short here on the way back if I think it's bearish. But when it does this and it can't get beyond the triangle, I will get out. Like, maybe not break even, but I'm not losing a R, right? And then this one looks safe. But it doesn't go anywhere because you're shorting an up market. That one I'm not taking. And that works, right? And then, again, we made a new high, so I'm not taking that. But I'll take that. And that keeps me out of trouble. So even here, new high, not going to short that. They defend. I will take that if I think it's bearish. Right? And I could, if they defend this, I could even short this pullback. And I'm already paid. That's the important part. Is I miss some trades when they just go, but I get paid when everyone else loses money. So it's a trade-off. And then a lot of the time, you get this anyway. And everybody wins. But everyone else who gets short here just lives with a lot more stress. And I just don't need that. So, like this, I would not take that. Everyone else can take those 20 points and give high fives. But if they apex trap here, and I get triangle up of any kind, I don't care if this one's fake, because we've already traveled through this area. Any purple bars or resistance that was here has been cleared. So I don't know if we're going to get higher than this, but chances are I can probably target that. Whoops. Yep. So that just makes my life easier. Let's see. That's overnight. Let's see how it did yesterday. Well, actually, I want to pull up a totally different day. Let's do like, I don't know. Oh shoot, it's getting late. I gotta work at the clinic tomorrow. Okay, I'll do one day and then I gotta go to bed. Let's see. Use date range. We'll do like December. Oh, I forgot it'll only do that one. I don't remember what I said. December something. 12:05 to 12:10. 22. To 12:10. I don't know if they'll work. Oh, wait. Yeah, 10. I don't know if they'll move together when they're loaded like this. We're about to find out. All right. Oh, good. That didn't take forever. I wasn't sure how long that was going to take. I only got 5 days, so the 9th. So this is the end. So I want to. Can I? Oh, they do move together. That's great. Cool. All right. So this is back in December. No idea if it worked back then, but let's check Thursday the 8th. Back. If I remember correctly, December was pretty tricky. Lots of down days. Okay, Thursday. That way we won't run into NFP or anything like that. So we'll go after. Looks like there's no data at 9. Let's do like 8:45. Okay. So let's see. Come down to a low. Put a box in. Get over the box. Print orange. Hold orange. Definitely bullish. But that's a pretty big stop. Right? So let's see what that looked like on the smaller time frame. Box near the low. Oh, box at the low. That's even better. Box at the low. Orange. Right? Lift. I might have been concerned about this. But by here, we've cleared it. So for sure, I know it's bullish. 1950. Oh, do they not? 1950. Oh, they're not going to copy. Interesting. Okay. 1950 happened here. Yeah, 1950. It's 1 point after the triangle up. Cool. Okay. Looks good. So no reason to do anything here unless that gets taken. And here too. Dangerous, but if that gets taken, it's bearish. Defended. That's good. Oh, I didn't even see this. But we'd need a green to get defended to really be bearish at this point, because we're also, this is neutral. We're above pink, below purple. No lines in the way, and nobody trapped. Until here, then the triangle, or the star gets trapped. Triangle down, arrow up, triangle up is a pretty bullish setup if it's bullish. So you could add here if you want to trade momentum. Okay, be careful here for a pullback. I guess that's it. It's really bullish. Okay, that could be our turning point. Let's see. Otherwise, I can get another long on a pullback there. Another one that doesn't get a pullback. There we go. So say, yeah, this better pullback. Okay, so this, I'd wait till that was beaten with VPOC, but with the purple box here, I expect that to happen. Eventually. There we go. Green. Another box. So defend green. And it's at least going here. The risk reward isn't very good to the pink box. So this is probably going to chop. Yep. See how they come back and defend it? And then beat green. Box. Orange. So defend that and it's bullish again. Gross. I don't want to buy that. Wow. I mean, it is bullish. It says it's bullish. It's got box orange, and they're not making it. But yeah. I guess I just picked a trend day. But look at that. Like, when these don't react, I guess that's what that means. So, does this get tested? Oh, they might become support. I wonder if this, when they don't react like that, are those support? I haven't seen a trend day yet. It is. Wow, that kind of makes sense though, because they didn't attack it. So in that case, is that an entry? Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Okay, orange. That I guess is an entry. Wow. Okay, there. This has to start to be turning now, right? We need a like a triangle down first. Wow. I picked a crazy day. Okay, there we go. So vulnerability, reversal with big volume. Not bearish yet, but I'm expecting us to come back and test this. That's the triangle down. So we've gotten under him. For the moment, it's bearish, but we have boxes there. They're probably going to act as support. They usually do. Vulnerability, green. Let's see if they get a pullback that holds. Right there. It's usually bearish. Oh, but we have these boxes. So this is where we're looking for a bull. So, can we buy that? Probably not, because we've got a green here. I think we got to get above that first. It's probably just going to chop. Box. At the top of the channel, technically. I don't want to see this get taken out. Another one. I guess it's just really bullish. Because, yeah, this alone is pretty bullish. I wasn't sure what's going to happen with this. It's not a box. It's a blue box, not I don't know if that acts as resistance ever. But I saw this act as support. Thought maybe that works that way sometimes. Not against the trend, apparently. Orange and defended, but they're pink. I can't buy it, but it says it's bullish. So it says that can be bought. Wow. Okay. Boxes, finally. All right, so some big delta. People actually making some aggressive decisions. So can we get under that? Okay, no. So higher? Yeah. Wow. I did not do this on purpose. I just picked a random day. But good to know how they work like this. So no orange or green to get me long. Nothing to do here until we get under that, I guess. Or if we get an orange and defend it, we might be able to go higher. Okay, that could get a pullback. No. Okay. Is it actually turning? It has to get defended. And it does. Okay, triangle down. Probably short. That's probably okay. If it gets beat, you have to immediately exit because of this. These boxes are probably support, but let's see. Yeah. All right. So yeah, don't trade into boxes. That has to be a rule. That seems to work repeatedly. Oh, and then this one got a box too. I didn't see that. And we're only at the middle of the channel, but it's acting like the bottom of the channel because it's bullish. So this is not going to hold because we've got a star down there. And no boxes up here. This is going to rip. I'd probably just buy it. Yeah, they're going to act like this is the bottom of the channel, even though it's the middle. It's just so bullish. And see how it's more than just pink bars out here? It's bullish. Okay. Ah, box again. If they can't beat that, it's not bullish. Oh, this was a divergent high. I didn't see that. Definitely don't want to be buying this. Okay, let's see if we can get an apex trap. Now we'd be trading into boxes. So, bearish. So technically, box, green. I would like it to come back up and give me a short signal. There. That should be a short. What does that look like here? It is... Oops. I want the white one. Not that. This. The very latest. 0950. It's a little late. Not loving that, but technically short. Yeah. A little late. Okay, so it does come back into here. They put a purple under it. Oh, another box. Now we're at the bottom of the channel. But look, there's boxes all the way down here. I don't think I can buy that. We also got under orange. Okay. We'll see. No one trapped. And they just don't care. Okay, there we go. So it comes back up to these boxes. Oh yeah, this one only got pink over it. It's bearish. You could probably short triangle down, I guess. Although then you're trading into this box. It's probably just going to chop. Chop, chop, chop. Nope, not going to buy that. We still have all these up here. Green. Nope. Probably turns right here. Or not. See, once they got orange and they defended it, they're technically above boxes. See that? So now I can go, I guess. Again, I hate buying up there, but technically they've broken over green, they've defended an orange, and they're above boxes. The rules say it's bullish. Yeah. Wow. So just do it anyway is the name of the game. Okay. Boxes. Should be support. Uh-oh. Okay, we got to get under the boxes before I can short. Oh. That defended a green line and box. So, again, a little late. It can still... It needs a VPOC under it. It's not ready. There. 12.065. Okay, so just a little bit lower than the triangle down. I think that one's okay. That's definitely okay. Yeah. Interesting. Cool. That's neat. See how it came back up? So this. That's perfect. Okay, where are we going? Probably back to one of these lines or one of the boxes from before. Oh, they defended the line without getting a VPOC under it. Definitely don't want to be short. Oh, and once again, the blue box holds. We'll call those squares, I guess, and these will be boxes. Well, we're underneath boxes, but look at how far we are from them. We haven't trapped anything. Oh, well, we defended orange. I think it's fine to buy it. Right there. Yeah, and you're targeting this. Box is a good sign. Unless we beat it. Okay, orange is a good sign. Yeah, that... See, I just don't know how to deal with this. The fact that we've got boxes up here. And then this square says, be ready for a turn. But this side says bullish. Yeah, that says buy. Box, orange, defended. But box is in the way. Okay, so they do go through it, test above it with pink, and then reverse with an apex trap to the short side. Okay. Again, above boxes, I can't really do anything. Well, I can't short. Yeah, these are really vulnerable. I'm not touching that. Unless they once again defend an orange. And we're above boxes. Okay, this time. Box. So if you did buy this, so gross, you have to be out here with a box. And then they've gotten under it. You don't want anything to do with that. They're going to chop around in here. That got defended. It looks bearish. Box. Green got defended. I think this is a short, which is probably the triangle. 83.50. Yep. A little late, but more or less. Okay, came to this orange. And they're trying to defend it. Triangle up probably gets me long, but where's the box? There's a box here and a box here. I think it's okay. Risk reward's close, but not an apex trap. I need triangle up. Okay, that's perfect because it doesn't show. And that's interesting. They got that and they didn't get a pullback. Now we've taken the orange, right? So bearish. Ooh, box. Can we beat it? Yep. And another box. That should be bullish. Yep. That's long. Oh, but this is a box. I forgot. That's why I marked it. This is resistance from before. They got over this. Why do I have that marked? Oh, it is. Yeah, it's all the boxes. Shoot. So they acted as support. They had a new one here. Acted as resistance. And then it's rejected. Man, that's tough. Because this was defended. We got over this. I mean, it's not always going to be right. Got over that. This is defended. This should be a long. Yeah, and it just runs into trouble. That's fine. Okay, let me just start over with the lines. Apex trap over the green. That's pretty good. Triangle up. That's nice. That should be long. And it's defended. Still long. You could long that. Yeah, they get a pullback. That makes sense. This orange hold, still long. Box. Don't let that break. Don't let that break. If it gets another bar, it's definitely short. Yeah. So that's fine. That was a nice long. And then this is a short. Oh, or not. Why not? Box. Under it. Green defended. Maybe it just wasn't defended enough. Well. Oh, I didn't see these. This is the support. Shoot. It's so perfect when you see it, but it's like, oh. So that means this is resistance. So it's just going to get choppy now. Yeah. Hey, that's cool. So we got to get under that. And then find resistance there without breaking this with VPOC on a bull bar. Which they did right there. So they've defended this green without breaking it with a bull bar. VPOC is underneath on the bull bars. That should be a short. And this one could be bigger. This built energy and this should be able to go lower. What? We're gonna make so much money. Okay, so box, resistance, support. No green or orange. I'm probably just hanging out because there's no one trapped really. Even though I think it probably goes here. It's gonna get choppy. Yep. See how this becomes the... So you could technically turn this into resistance and short that, but your target is back in here. So, like, why? Well, because it might keep going. Okay. They defend this just barely. That's perfect. Yeah. Take out. It's pink. Gross. It probably works. I'd prefer it on a pullback. Yeah, so that acts as resistance. Let's see if we get another one. So I'd probably go... Oh, that sucks. We got to get above that. Oh, there we go. Buy that. I don't like this, but we've trapped. So I think it's okay. Yeah, I'd probably be buying that. Yep. So the green line makes this a little choppy. And for sure, this one's good. Because you've already done that range. So I don't care, it's pink. And we've gotten box and a line defended. Multiple lines defended. And this one too. That should work for a lot. Dude, this is so cool. I can't believe it worked like back in December. Okay. I'm going to go get some sleep. I've seen enough. I just have to practice this. Because it's hard to believe that it, like, these levels keep reacting. But, like, the fact that I can see where it's going to chop when it chops is really cool. Yeah, I know. It's time for bed. Okay. But look, like, these levels are acting as chop zones. Right now they get shifted. Box. Okay. And then right back to this one. Right back to this one. That's your entry. And then right back to this one. Okay. Wow. You came to say hello, Ronan? Box. Hold orange. Oh, more boxes. So if they break that, it's going to go lower. Yep. Choppy again. Look at that. Can't get out of there. Box. Green. Defended. That should be bearish. Oh, there's a box over here. So when we get a bunch of boxes on top of each other, just don't do anything. And eventually they're obviously going to apex drop and get out of there or something. Yeah, see, this is... The way you get out of chop is usually apex drop. And it's usually got a purple bar or a triangle down. And then plus sign is great, but sometimes it's pink. Now you can get all that collected on. And look, it goes right back to this. Jeez. That line is still active. Wow. Okay, so I need to definitely keep looking into this, because if it was working back then and it worked this week, it's and we found a trend day, which is great. I mean, I know it's like, you know, what's it called? Like, I only have, it's like a small, like the study only had two days, but totally random. You know, today, yesterday, I actually traded it and then pick a totally random day, and it's completely different than today. Trend day up. And I mean, it's not perfect, but it worked the same. So, all right. I gotta take this cat to bed, and I need to get some sleep. So, well, thanks for hanging in there, guys. That was really interesting. I'm glad I have this, what's it called? Like, recorded, because I can kind of come back to it. And I'm sure if I keep playing with it, oh, I definitely should have held. Look at this. Oh, well, I'm sure if I keep playing with it, there will be other tweaks to make. So I'm not going to share this yet, because I like the algo, I mean, because it's very beta right now. But what I'd like to do is actually have it, rather than draw the lines. I want it to tell me when they hold. That would be better. Um, but I thought I was gonna do the same thing with the boxes too, but like I didn't realize that marking them off would be such a good way to find support resistance. So I don't know. We'll keep. It's just it's so busy. I need to figure out. Maybe I can take other stuff off. I don't know. I will figure it out. But one way or another, I think it's a good idea. I just need to figure out how to display it in a way that doesn't make my eyes bleed. But if it wasn't for that, it clearly works really well. Uh, yeah, I'm just gonna have to do some more coding and try to combine these things into like one signal or something. I'll figure it out. But like I said, at least I'm on the right track, and that's exciting. So give an update on the song. Yeah, I have not been. I've not been playing the guitar as much as I should be. I apologize. And then when I do play, um, I always have guests, and so like I can't um, record it. But I know people are asking for me to explain that. But yeah, it's a great song. It's not that hard. My problem is the string pattern on the solo. Uh, okay, yeah. You mean the right hand technique? Uh, it is a little tricky. The left hand is not complicated, but I see what you mean. The rhythm is what makes that song so great. I'm not even sure exactly how to describe it. You know what? Maybe what I can do is because the problem with the video I posted 100 years ago, whenever I did that, like I literally just like I was playing with it and finally kind of figured out how to do it and just turned on my phone and recorded it. Uh, but it wasn't pointing at my right hand; it was only pointing my left hand, and so yeah, it's hard to tell. So I will. I will try to get to that. Thanks for the reminder, though. I know that I've gotten a couple of people asking about it. It is, like I said, it is a great song. I haven't played that song for a long time. You know how it is when you start playing something new, and I'm always working on something new. But I'll go back and practice it, and once if I'm able to explain a little bit how to do it, I can try to do a quick explanation, but like it's not practiced very much. I literally haven't played the song for like a year, so but I'll figure it out again. If you've done it once, you can do it again. It's kind of like riding a bike. But yeah, thanks for the reminder. Appreciate it. It's so funny though, because like I said, that was like I had no idea what I was doing. I was just it's funny how that comes about. Like it was a perfect take. And that's so rare. But it was almost because there was no pressure. I was just like, I need to remember how to play this and hit record and played it. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And then yeah, gotta realize like, wow, that sounded really nice. Sometimes it just works out. So I will do my best. Thanks for reminding me. All right, guys. I will see y'all later. You can find me on Twitter. Ask Simon about the algo if you want to learn more about it. And I will do my best to get a guitar video